Welcome to the Brass and Woodwind shop. Today I have a very unusual instrument in my shop. It's a Tenor Shawm. The Shawm is a Renaissance instrument and it's the forerunner to the oboe, and there are also a lot of similarities with a bassoon. And this one here is a Tenor Shawm, so it's keyed a lot lower than an oboe though. This Shawm is not original, it's a reproduction, and it was made in the 1980s. Here are the parts of it. There's the tiny little bocal. There's the upper joint, and it has the finger holes on it. Several of them have 2 holes per finger so that you can half hole some of the notes. There's the lower joint with a fairly large bell. It also has the key mechanisms right there. And on the other side there's another key mechanism. This instrument does not have any pad cups. The pads are just glued right onto a piece of flat metal. This has a rather unusual key mechanism, and it's set up so that you can use the pinky of either hand to play the notes. That way you can use either right or left hand on the top or the bottom of the instrument. On the other side, these keys are played with the thumb, and it has the articulated mechanism right here and here. This instrument came into my shop for adjusting. There are only 2 adjustments on this Shawm, but it's rather difficult to adjust it because there are a lot of moving parts on those keys. On this instrument I adjusted the keys, and I also had to recork the bocal. Since it has such a small diameter, what I did is I took some thinner cork and I wrapped it around twice and then sanded it down to fit. Something interesting on this bocal, you'll see right there there's a little dot, and that dot is actually a hole. I don't know the exact reason, but to get it to sound right there needs to be a hole in the bocal. Usually you don't want instruments to have leaks, but in this case I guess it makes it sound better. There are only 4 keys and 2 adjustments on this, but the mechanism is a little bit confusing though, because you're working with wood and then there are tiny little screws holding things together, and those screws can tend to shift a little bit. So there are a lot of opportunities for these things to wobble back and forth, and that can cause pads not to seat too well. The other side is even a little more complex. Again, there are only 2 keys and 1 adjustment on this side. Take a closer look at this mechanism. It pivots right here, and then there's the rod. And then there's a little saddle that goes over the rod, and then a pin that goes through there, and then it works this pad. So there are a lot of moving parts in that 1 key. They made this mechanism so that you can play it with the pinky of the left hand, or if you want your right hand on the bottom, you can play it with your right hand on the bottom too. And here you can see that this instrument has been repaired sometime in the past. And since this is made out of a softer wood, it can develop cracks a lot easier. This other piece is called a Fontanel, and it's hollow, and it covers up the keys right here. It just slides over these. And you need to be careful not to break anything. There we go. Then the upper joint goes on top of that, and the bocal goes on top. Here's the instrument in its entirety, and I am not a Shawm player, but I'm going to try to play a few notes on here anyway. I'm going to use a regular bassoon reed. However, a Tenor Shawm has its own reed, and it's smaller than a bassoon reed, but I don't have one, so I'm going to use what I have. This is not the easiest instrument to hold. Okay. Here we go. I'm sorry it's not going to sound good. I'm a better repairman than I am a Shawm player, so here it goes. It was a lot of fun having this instrument in my shop. It's not something I see very often. On the one hand, it makes me thankful for the modern instruments, which are far easier to work on. On the other hand, it's good to have a reproduction of a very old historic instrument in my shop, and it's a lot of fun to look at and to play. As I was working on this, I was thinking of the old music makers who had their shops, and they had an apprentice sitting next to them and working along with them. I'm glad I was able to work on this instrument, but I'm also glad that it's finished too. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please feel free to subscribe for some more band instrument repair videos.